Welcome to the London Design Festival First Look. My name is Sujata Burman, and I'm the editor of London Design Festival. Again, thank you, Sketch, for hosting us this afternoon. So the way this is going to work, we're going to be doing very short interviews and to give you a sneak peek at what's to come in September, to give you a little taster ahead of the show. And to start off, I'm inviting Ben Evans, director of the festival, to give us a little flavour of what's to come in September.
Well, we're in year 21. Perhaps I'll just give a bit of context, actually. You know, the last few years have been challenging for everyone, not least events and festivals. But I feel we're on the kind of road to recovery. I mean, last year we saw that because there were a lot of audiences, and I think and hope that there will be a significant audience for activities this year. We can carry on our relationship with the Mayor's office, and they're particularly interested in keeping as buoyant as possible the idea about London being the creative capital of the world. And you know, we've got the biggest creative economy of any global city living and working in London, and I think that's why it's so important to have showcasing events that tell the stories of not just as a sector, but within different disciplines within them, and of course we do design. This year we've also started working with Bloomberg Philanthropy, who are supporting one of our major projects, and Bloomberg also are very keen on a kind of slightly more kind of strategic basis for the city to be as buoyant and as kind of prosperous as possible. You remember, in London we're kind of spoilt rotten because there's so much stuff happening. So having a moment in the year where we can celebrate design, I think, is critically important.
And one of the things we've got this year is the Launchpad partnership, which is supporting young emerging creatives. Can you tell us a bit about that and how the festival is generally supporting the wider creative community of London?
Talent pipeline is absolutely essential in our industry, and we've made it harder for ourselves because we've been a kind of a magnet for global talent, particularly European talent, for decades, and now it's much more difficult for people to come and live and work in this city. So we've got to really work hard on domestic talent pipeline. We're blessed with a art and design education system which is kind of arguably still the envy of the world, and we've got lots and lots of graduates coming through the system. So we wanted to reach out to those younger designers who've just graduated, who are entering the labour market for the first time, and give them an easy way to kind of engage in the festival.
Great, thank you, Ben. We're excited for September.
So Pentagram has been working with us since 2007, reinventing every year the graphic identity. And Dom Lipa, partner at Pentagram, who has been leading the effort on their side, cannot be with us today, but he sent me a few comments he wanted to share with you. In essence, every time we start a new edition, they look at what's happening in the world of design, especially in typography, to ensure that the festival stays at the very edge of it. And certain elements have always remained constant, especially our colors. Red and white have become almost one of the distinguishing aspects of the festival. And Dom believes that one of the reasons why the graphic identity is so important, and it's so important to refresh it every year, is that it also gives an opportunity to new designers in his team to have a go at it. So I'm going to share his approach for this year. Dom said, "We approach each edition with excitement and enthusiasm. I've always believed the reason we've been able to create new directions for the festival is that different designers have contributed to the process over the years. I have always loved film and TV titles. They can instantly convey the themes within a short space of time. We started working with the typography with a nod to a cinematic feel, and I love the way films can stretch one's experience and be dramatic in its form. The more acute and extreme the angles of these designs reflect the power and strength of the festival itself." So in fact, this year's identity is called Stretching Ideas. I'm just going to give you a very quick peek. So here you see the animated imagery in action. But of course, we have so many digital touch points. Of course, video has become very important over the years, so you will see this across all of our channels. But of course, there's also print, be it posters, be it our red book, be it the printed listings, which is the newspaper we distribute all over the city to help people discover and navigate what's happening with the festival, but also things like t-shirts that our volunteers will wear. So you will see this identity unfolding as we move closer to September. Print, digital, we have a few surprises prepared too, and I won't spoil those today. But I guess this is a peek into what's going to be this year's graphic identity by Pentagram. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Back behind the curtain you go. So we have our landmark projects, which we're now announcing. And as Ben mentioned, we're working with Bloomberg Philanthropies on a project called REN 300. And so 2023 marks the 300th anniversary of the extraordinary architect and polymath, Sir Christopher Wren, who many of you must know. London Design Festival, supported by Bloomberg Philanthropies, takes the opportunity to delve into his legacy through a modern lens. By collaborating with contemporary designers, this project aims to give fresh insights into Wren and his collection of architectural masterpieces. The two landmark projects will form part of the REN 300 celebrations and will serve as a means of engaging with his architectural and scientific heritage. As well as exploring how his works remain relevant and inspiring in the present day, through innovative responses and creative inventions, REN 300 seeks to infuse these spaces with contemporary perspectives, celebrating Wren's enduring influence and showcasing his significance in the 21st century. So the first part of this project is Aura by Pablo Valbuena, inside St. Paul's, presented in association with Artichoke. The installation approaches what a temple means today and examines the potential of time, sound, and light to create contemporary rituals. So tell us about Aura, Pablo.
Thank you for having me here. Maybe we have some images? Yeah, perfect. So Aura is an installation that is built around two axes. One is, as you were mentioning, the link with the 300th anniversary of Wren. And in this direction, there's a part where there are several elements that will be difficult to compress in 5 minutes. But one of the core elements that the way I designed and I conceptualized this piece is thinking about the design process of Wren at his time when he was designing St. Paul, and trying to do something if Wren would be alive today, like, you know, how he would approach actually this challenge, because doing something in St. Paul is a building that is very symbolically charged, so it's quite challenging. You cannot go against it. You have to do something. So it's a contextual piece. It's a piece that takes these important elements of Wren's design process. For instance, he was, at his time, he was very revolutionary in the sense that he was building already with, not only with physical materials, but he was building already with perception. He was building with sound. He was building with light. If we look at the double dome, for instance, he did a dome where in the exterior you perceive it as very high and very large, but actually it's not real. It's not the same dome that we see from the interior. No? So he played with these perceptual tricks in terms of light. All the stained glass colored windows, for instance, he didn't use any color in order to get much more light inside. He opened up all the openings, so it's a very light cathedral. He worked with sound. The size of the cathedral is actually, it's a smaller, the footprint of St. Paul is smaller than the medieval cathedral in order that the word of the priest was not only heard but understood from every point of the. So all these things have been elements that I have done, and it's a piece that basically is working with the rituals of the cathedral. Is taking the sound, the words, the music, the choirs, the organs, and it's visualizing and focusing. It's trying to refocus the attention in the rituals of the cathedral, asking what is a temple nowadays. No? In St. Paul, you have a bit this clash between when you experience St. Paul's, you experience the temple when you go in, but you experience also the tourist attraction. No? And there's a clash of these two temporalities. No? And I'm interested into like rituals and a tempo, what for me has like the principal quality is that it slows down time. Is capable of somehow compressing and intensifying time in a way that it's what it produces, this feeling when you enter, that suddenly maybe you want to lower down your volume of the voice or things like this. No? So I want to do a piece that enhances these elements. And sorry.
So
yeah.
No.
I can keep
Moving
going.
on. If you want to tell us about what would the experience be like for everyone when they enter the cathedral in September?
Well, I invite you to go and discover it because I you know, it's difficult to describe the experience, but it's basically what the piece is doing. This is a spectrum. This is the aural or sound spectrum of the choir of St. Paul singing evensong. And what the piece is going to do is to take all these slices in time, all this timeline of the sound, and it's going to project it into a line, into the line that you were seeing before. So basically what you're going to see is you're going to see the sound. You're going to see what you are listening to. No? So it's, in a way, it's focusing at the scale of the cathedral what is already happening. I'm not adding anything. It's more a tool that enhances and focuses the attention on what is already there.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for explaining Aura.
Thank you.
So, as I mentioned, our REN 300 project is a project of 2 parts, and the second part is Halo by Moritz Waldemeyer. And come on up, Moritz, to tell us about Halo. I'm judging by the name, it's got a similar theme.
Well, the funny thing is, as we have just discovered, it's the first time we meet each other and the first time we see each other's project. And not only have we discovered that there's like a connection in the name, but I think I can say there's probably also a connection in the way we approach the buildings, which is quite extraordinary.
Yeah, so your project is actually in St. Stephen, Walbrook,
that's right,
which is one of the city churches that Ren worked on. Can you tell us a bit about how did you design for the space?
So when you visit that church for the first time, and it was the first time for me, walking into the building, from the outside, you don't really know what to expect because the architecture is sort of almost hidden within the interior. It's all about the inside of the church. On the outside, it seems to be just like a random sort of selection of blocks, and it doesn't really reveal itself until you actually step inside. And on the inside, you've got this really extraordinary cathedral of a dome. It's actually similar to St. Paul's in terms of the way that it's built. There's a central dome and then sort of 4 sort of mini extensions in the 4 directions. But it's all about the central dome. And it has the altar by Moore, which is an extraordinary piece in marble, perfectly centered, a circular or cylindrical altar.
I think we have a visual here.
Yes, here we can see it, that's right. So what struck me was, like, if you step in there and you're coming from the bustling city of London, and all of a sudden you're in this like incredible space of calm. And with the installation, I wanted to sort of invite people to sit and meditate. And in order to accomplish that, I came up with this idea of creating a pendulum. So like using the central point of the church, so the highest point in the space. And suspend a pendulum from there, which we won't have going back and forth, but it's a conical pendulum, so it circles around the altar. So it's almost like a movement of celestial bodies in space. And the beauty of the physics of it is, like, the longer the pendulum, the longer the period of rotation. And so it will be a very, very slow motion. And that is something that I hope will inspire people just to sit and slow down and maybe also go inwards and sort of go into a like almost meditative state. And
yes, so a nice experience in a building that people might have not experienced before.
Yes, that's right, yes. And at the same time, we will have a projection into the dome where there will be animation that will sort of like mimic the motion. So we also there we will play with sort of it's very, very slow animation to really just slow down the perception of space and time. But there's a second layer to this, and there's lights on the pendulum, and there's sort of an idea that will only come out in like long exposure photography. So the light will move up and down during the rotation, and in a photograph it will reveal a halo, but an inclination, so sort of like non-natural to the rotation of the pendulum itself, and so you see that here. So if you take a long exposure photograph, then hopefully that's the result, and that's a bit of a sort of connection to painting and Christian art history. You know, it's a very, very important element in Christian. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Moritz.
Thank you.
And now on to this year's festival commission, which is Spirit of Place on the Strand by artist, designer, educator and cultural changemaker Simone Brewster in collaboration with Amarim. Spirit of Place is an installation of 5 large-scale sculptural vessels. The family of objects represents Amarim's cork forest in Portugal. And we're doing a login today because sadly Simone couldn't join us.
Hey everyone, Spirit of Place is actually, if you know what the term comes from, then the Spirit of Place is a translation of the term genius loci, which is an architectural term. And it's to do with the essence or the uniqueness of a particular place that makes it what it is. And I thought that was quite an appropriate name to name the project because, in essence, it grew out of my trip to the cork oak forests in Portugal when I went on a visit to see how the material was being grown and being taken care of for future generations. And beforehand, I really remember this feeling before going, like, I have a really clear idea of what I wanted to do and how I wanted everything to look. And then I went to see the forest, and it was so beautiful. And the projects that they're doing to kind of preserve the forest for future generations and the positive environmental impact that it's having made me kind of rethink everything. And I wanted to design a series of objects that kind of had the essence somehow of this forest and the experience I had when I went over there.
So the idea kind of flipped. We've actually got you on screen now if you wanted to share some of your images from Portugal, because I know I was looking at a couple of them earlier. They're spectacular if you want to try and share them. So how are you now manifesting this in a project in London? How have you kind of thought about translating that so we can all have the kind of same experience as you, but through your lens?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a bit... I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to share, I believe this is it. Share. Can you see? There's a place?
Not quite yet, but we are getting it up.
Okay. So, yes, the project has taken place over 2 different locations, which has meant that we've been talking a lot in detail, but I think it really came to life after visiting. It's in partnership with a company called Amarim, who are like the biggest cork suppliers in the world. And they invited me over to see what they do. And I said, okay, sure. I mean, any excuse to go to Portugal. So when I went over, I got the opportunity to see the forest and also to see the processes that they're doing with cork. And from there, it was really for me to come up with something that told the story, I think, of the experience that I had. Can you see any images yet?
Yes, we are seeing. Oh no, we're not able. We're not actually able to see your images, but we are seeing the wonderful render that you've done of the pieces that will be at LDF. Yeah. So we're seeing the kind of 5 structures that you've created.
Yeah, the 5 objects. And to go back to your first question, the Spirit of Place, it's really the original, the genius loci terminology came up when the Greeks believed that there was a spirit that lived in a place that gave it its kind of essence. And I like this idea of it being some kind of like a deity or a symbol or totem that kind of represented something more than just itself. And so when I was designing these objects, I wanted to take basically the essence of the things they were trying to encourage in the natural propagation of the forest, which was to do with upright expression and all these kind of technical things that are forestry things, but like fungal resistance and water drought resistance and all of these things, and kind of translate them into that had something about the beauty and the colours and the peacefulness of that kind of landscape that I visited.
And how do you hope the public will kind of engage with it? Will they be kind of walking around? Will they tell us a bit about the experience?
So they're quite big, these pieces, and I'm quite excited about that. A lot of my work in the past has been big, and people often see them in images and always think they're smaller, and then they see them in real life and they go, oh, they're quite big. But these are actually going to be really large. They're 2.5 meters roughly in height, and they're meant to be slightly imposing, but also quite beautiful. I want them to be tactile. I want people to be able to touch them. I want people to be able to kind of walk around them. There's enough of them that they create an atmosphere, a spirit of place within themselves. And yeah, I think it's about a sensory, a tactility kind of, and hopefully just a joyful experience. Yeah.
And very beautiful pieces as well. Thank you so much, Simone, for joining us, and I'm glad it worked out as well.
Perfect.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Now we're moving on to our special project, and we have multi-award-winning artist, Morag Myerscough, and who will be working with Minnie to create a luscious urban world where tradition meets technology. The installation will invite a celebration of the power of human connection and the transformative potential of unity, bringing Minnie's big love attitude to life. Hi, Morag.
Hello.
So how did you approach this project with Minnie? What can you reveal to us so far?
Well, I mean, this is a dream project for me, actually, because my first car was a Mini, and I'm probably similar age as Minnie. But I've lived in London all my life until recently, and recently I've now live among nature, and when I was asked to think about this project, I had this vision in my head of how I wanted to merge nature and urban environments together, and then this, they just talking with everybody, and it's a really amazing collaboration because we trust each other, and also Minnie is about joy and about being part of a community, and that's what a lot of my work is about. So it just feels like very exciting.
Well, you mentioned joy and colour, which features a lot in your work. Can we expect to see the same with this project?
What do you think?
I'm going to go yes.
Yes. And lots of layering and materiality, and also about the future of cities being able to have different sounds. So the sounds will change, the smells will change. We've got if we really all work at it together, we can make this really amazing, brighter future, but it takes a lot of activism and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, all under wraps so far. Thank you, Morag.
Thank you.
And on to our next special project, which will be presented by Gian. We allow him to come back out of the...
Back from the cave. Hello again. So the second special project that we'll have this year is the Mandala Lab by the Rubin Museum. Now, if you don't know the Rubin Museum, it's a museum based in New York City. It explores and celebrates the diversity of Himalayan art, ideas, and culture across the history and into the present. So they're inspired by Buddhist principles to create this space, the Mandala Lab, which will open in Canary Wharf. And it's an interactive space designed to explore challenging emotions and consider how to transform them into wisdom. The freestanding structure will contain a metaphoric floor plan of our emotional well-being. And it will feature 5 thought-provoking, playful experiences that will guide you along an inner journey focused on self-awareness and awareness of others. Now, what is interesting is the first incarnation of the Mandala Lab happened in New York. It's a permanent installation at the Rubin Museum. It opened in October 2021. But given the feedback and the reactions they had from audiences, they decided to create it also into a traveling Mandala Lab, which had its first iteration, or second in the lifetime of the project, in Bilbao last June, and is going to be opening during the festival at Canary Wharf, and is going to stay open until December. So that was a peek into it, and here you can see some of the different experiences that people will be able to experience. Now the space is built both for the self, but also to connect with others. So it will welcome interactions with other visitors.
More meditative stuff.
Yes, we need a bit of that these days.
Definitely. Thank you, John.
Back to the cave.
Back to the cave. And it wouldn't be London Design Festival without our activity at the V&A. And this year's projects at the V&A explore the global power of design to bind communities, reveal untold stories, and rethink our relationship with materials. So here to tell us more is Senior Curator at the V&A, Manisha Kelly. Hi.
Hi, Sujata.
So how did you go about curating this year's LDF at the V&A?
Well, as you say, I have some slides. As you say, it's really kind of globally looking, but within a global context, thinking about the local kind of impact design can have on communities. That's being led by artists and designers who are really kind of taking a deep dive into their immediate surroundings, but sharing them with a global audience. So we're really delighted to have the second year of our Emerging Designer Commission. It's Andu Masebo, who is hiding there behind I don't know cars well enough. What is that bit of
the hood?
Oh, it is an Alfa Romeo, yeah. But it's the lid where the engine goes. The hood.
The hood.
There we go.
Bonnet.
The bonnet. So Andu is actually disassembling this Alfa Romeo cloverleaf, which is a kind of real commentary on our times now, where the car has become a contested object. This particular car is not ULEZ compliant. It was destined for the scrap heap. So he's actually doing a forensic study of this car, taking it apart and creating new objects from it. So a daybed, various chairs, a lamp, and other objects that will be on display in the museum for London Design Festival, but actually for a month, so beyond the festival as well. And then we were also working with the Gifu Prefecture. So the central image here, the portrait image, is this incredible festival, the Hanamokoshi Mino Festival that takes place in Gifu each year. It's taken place since the Edo period, and we are working with London-based Hayatsu architects to create a sculptural seating installation using the principles derived from this shrine, this flower shrine, and the actual paper, the petals. So those are washi paper flower petals, and they will be constructed over the period of the summer by families at the V&A. So there's 50,000 petals that will be applied to this bamboo structure over the summer. And then the structure will be on display in the Daylit Gallery, again for a month.
It's also like a team effort, not just one designer.
Yes, no, it's all about community, but not only those who have made the flowers in Japan, but also throughout communities throughout London, visitors, tourists, anyone can kind of drop in and take part in these workshops, which will be all throughout August. We also are working with Dima Sujuri, who's here. Dima, give us a little wave. Dima is a Jamil Fellow, a V&A Jamil Fellow. She's a Palestinian artist and architect, and we are presenting her project, but she wears flowers, but she still wears coal, but smells like roses. So again, a kind of flower connection to our program. So this project presents a series of objects in a film that reframe the history of glass in Greater Syria and Palestine. The new works will include replicas of glass vessels from the V&A collection, excavated from the region. So we're really excited to have Dima's work as part of the festival. We are also working with British-born but Canadian-based artist Nirbai Nep Singh Sidhu, whose work you can see in the top corner there. It's a huge 5-meter tapestry, and this is in collaboration with UK arts organisation Without Shape, without form. They're bringing together their practices of spirituality, transferring knowledge into a newly conceived installation of these works, which include tapestry, sculpture, and film, to create moments of self-discovery through contemporary Sikh teachings, while exploring their impact on design. And we are also working with Paloma Bissau to bring an immersive installation that's both a VR experience as well as a photography installation, which follows Maya, a young girl, as she transforms into a superhero whose powers derive from menstruation. So that work is based on Palomi's incredible law-changing impact art project Blood Speaks, which is about menstrual exile and violence against women in South Asia. So a really kind of global program, and we're also delighted to host the Global Design Forum, which is led by the LDF team, and we'll have workshops throughout the festival as well, and also a big Friday late on the 22nd.
Great, so much going on. Thank you so much, Manisha, and join us to talk to some of the designers here tonight as well. Thank you. And as Manisha mentioned, we do have the Global Design Forum at the V&A, and I want to invite Jess McFarlane, who is the Programme Director of GDF, and Stephen Jameson from SAP to give us a peek of what's to come in September. Sorry, this is not made for two people, but you can navigate it. There we go. Jess, tell us about what to look forward to in September for GDF.
Thanks very much. As Manisha said, we're delighted to be back returning to the V&A for the programme that will be taking place during the festival. We're planning on 5 days of content. The Global Design Forum looks to cover the sort of most challenging but exciting topics facing designers today and tomorrow. We have a range of themes that we'll be covering, as we have in previous years, on different days. Some of the themes that we're looking into are transdisciplinary design, system design, designing for resilience, and also design intelligence, maybe flipping artificial intelligence and combining that conversation. We're delighted to work with SAP once again, and we'll also be working with partners Pearl Fisher, IED, the Italian Design School, and UAL. And with SAP, we're delighted to be continuing our circular design series that we've been taking around the world this year, actually. And we hosted an event in New York, the first Global Design Forum event to take place outside of the festival this year. So it is becoming truly a global conversation. And Stephen can talk a bit more about it as well, what we're looking to do with the series. Yeah.
Great, yeah. So Stephen, tell us, what is the Circular Design Series for people who might not be aware?
So thank you. So, I mean, this is the 4th year I think we've been running with the Circular Design Series, the 6th year we've been supporting the festival. And I guess really our starting point here is, we as a society are producing or extracting something like 90 billion tonnes of materials each year. That's a number that's doubled since the year 2000. What we see is a phenomenal design opportunity in terms of how we can tackle this challenge. 45% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions is the way we're sort of using and producing these materials. And, based on the work we were doing with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we see 160 million designers in the world that are engaged in this topic and have kind of their hands on the solution, if you like. And I think what we see is really this opportunity to engage this global community, hence our engagements in New York this year, maybe other locations going forward, and really to start working through what are the critical conversations, how do we achieve this system change, how do we fundamentally work together in order to eliminate waste, circulate materials, and fundamentally regenerate natural systems. And so that's the basis of it, focusing on key materials, and in the context at the moment of some really critical regulatory drivers. We have the UN Plastics Treaty in formation at the moment, and so this is a really key time for this conversation to bring that sort of design dialogue into all of this work that's happening around the world.
And it is definitely critical conversations because, like in New York, you mentioned, it wasn't just the easiest conversation. Sometimes it's the more tricky ones, which is kind of what the Global Design Forum is trying to do.
Exactly that, and I think what we noticed in New York is, this is a conversation that maybe we're getting used to in Europe, but what's clear is that there are parts of the world where, this is really early stages, and there's such a big conversation to be had, and so much progress that has to happen.
Great, thank you, Jess and Stephen. Now, I promise we haven't got very much long. Moving on to our design districts, which are a core part of our festival makeup. Each of the districts has its own personality, reflects a local community, and enables visitors to explore short events in walking distance of each other. And some of you may have visited these. We have 13 districts this year. We have Bankside, Brompton, Greenwich Peninsula, Islington, Mayfair, Park Royal, Shoreditch Design Triangle, Southwark, and these will be joined by 4 new districts: Dalston to Stokey, Battersea, Chelsea, and Fitzrovia. And joining us now is Jane Withers, who is the curator of Brompton, our longest standing district. So this year's theme for Brompton is conviviality, the art of living together. How did you come up with it?
Well, this I must say, is a very good place to talk about conviviality. I think we're always interested in topical themes, and conviviality literally comes from the Latin convivere, live together, and it seems to me that this simple point is behind so many of the issues and challenges we face. And I also think that it's a very good issue to explore through a design lens, because designers are so good at fostering, using design as a tool to bring people together, foster interaction, exchange. So I think, and also it's one of those themes that you can address on a very immediate level, coming together around a table, that sort of probably what we all immediately think of conviviality, but also at a societal and global level.
And so you mentioned this coming together. One of the projects specifically, which we can talk about now, is engaging with the local community and addressing actually something that's kind of opposite, which is loneliness. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I think we wanted to do an installation or a project in Brompton that brought different voices that are, perhaps aren't obvious in South Kensington, which on the surface at least is such an affluent area. But we're all aware that there are other sides to the borough of Kensington and Chelsea, not least through all the stories that emerged through Grenfell. So we invited the collective All in Awe, led by Eva Feldkamp, to respond to the theme conviviality and see what they would come up with. And their research was super interesting in that they began to look at loneliness, as they found that Kensington and Chelsea, I think if this is correct, has the highest number of single-person households in the UK, and one of the highest numbers of single-person pensioner households in the UK. So they are collaborating, I think, with 3 charities, Mind Kensington, KNC Volunteers, and the Kensington and Chelsea Foundation, to make collaborative sort of banner projects for this street site that express these ideas, but also the stats in a very approachable way, and also become a site for activations for these different groups. So I think it's quite nice to look outside to voices that might not normally be a part of the design festival.
And this is going to be outdoors. I know you mentioned you haven't had many outdoor installations in this particular area.
Yeah, I think it's on Edgerton Gardens, which is at the junction of Brompton Road and Thurlow Place, and they're closing the street for it, which I think is a first for us at least.
Yeah, that's great, because then, even the public, like you said, communities outside of the festival can engage. And so how have some of the other brands and studios interpreted the theme?
Well, I think they're really diverse. We've got quite a lot going on, so I'll just sort of mention a few quickly. But I think Fell's Gallery, and I hope some of the artists and curators working with them are here tonight. They've done a collaboration, or they're doing a collaboration called Farm Shop, and it's the result of, I think, 19 designers working in residences at Grimsdyke Farm in Buckinghamshire, and they're producing tablewares inspired by this experience in the local community, and they'll be in a big dining installation, but I think quite an unexpected one. And in that there'll be a series of activations too through the festival. Then Ryo Koyabashi has his first, I believe it's his first solo exhibition. And Rio might be here tonight too. Not sure. Hope, perhaps. Anyway, his is called Manu Manu Lavit, One Hand Washes the Other. And it's the idea of looking at design collaborations and conviviality through food, music, place. We have a project with Peter Pilotto, who's Peter Pilotto and Christopher DeVos, who've exhibited with us before, and they're coming back with an exhibition called Phase 2. We also have the New Craftsman for the first time in Brompton, and looking at the power of craftsmanship and the nature of collaboration and conviviality through crafts lens. And I think finally the RCA, the other side of product, design products, who show with us regularly. So recent graduates.
Lots to explore. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you.
And so last but not least is our design fairs. So London Design Festival hosts major trade shows, which were formerly known as design destinations. And for 2023, we have 2 design fairs, London Design Fair and Material Matters. After last year's successful debut, I think that's a bit of Material Matters over there. And the Material Matters Fair will return to Barge House, Oxo Tower Wharf, during the festival. The fair, which runs from the 20th till the 23rd of September, brings together world-leading brands, makers and innovators to investigate and celebrate the importance of materials and their ability to shape our lives. And London Design Fair makes its much-anticipated return to the International Design Calendar from 21st to the 24th of September, the largest commercial exhibition during the festival. The fair is a leading showcase of cutting-edge design brands, international pavilions, and makers. And here to tell me a bit about the London Design Fair is event director Annie Linsell. Hi, Annie, my final guest for this evening. So tell us a bit, London Design Fair is returning after a couple of years now. What can audiences expect?
They can expect to find about 200 exhibiting designers this year, which will range from emerging brands, undiscovered talent, to some very well-established world-class brands, as well as I think we have 6 international pavilions as well. And we also have a new talks stage and programme, which is a full lineup over the 4 days too.
Yeah, very busy lineup. And you were telling me when we were discussing a couple of new sections of the fair. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we've launched a new pavilion for new graduates because we wanted to really give a platform for those that have just recently left their design-led courses, and to champion emerging talent, because I think that's something that everyone's really enjoyed about London Design Fair, to discover brand new, never seen before design and talent there at the show. But obviously, it can be expensive, so we wanted to create an affordable platform for those young designers. So we have about 18 very carefully selected designers within the Design Alumni Pavilion. We have, as I mentioned before, our new LDN Design Talk stage. We're bringing back again our British Craft Pavilion in a slightly different format for this year. And we have a number of new installations as well this year, which we're very excited about. The fair has really been a place and a home for the A&D community to feel included and involved and welcomed, and rather than feeling kind of on the outside. So no matter if you're just starting out within your career or if you're, well established already and you use the fair every year as a, place to source new trends, new products, etc. We wanted everyone who comes to feel really wholeheartedly welcomed back, and to champion design from a wide discipline of diverse different backgrounds. So that installation is calling upon a number of different designers who are creating a bespoke piece especially for the fair under that kind of theme of "You Can Sit With Us," which is the concept is that everyone creates a chair at the table so that everyone has a seat at the table. And then, as well as the installational bits that we're doing, we have our talks programme. So again, that's something that we haven't done every year of the fair before, and that's something that we're looking to now do as an annual an annual thing, and we're working with like trend forecasters like Trend Bible, for example, just to see how things have changed and how people are using their home spaces and shifting how we're living and how we can respond to that through design, which kind of refers back to our theme this year, which is Thrive. So coming from a place of survival from the last couple of years to actually coming out feeling stronger.
I think that's a great note to end on, to
Yep.
thrive. Thank you everyone for joining me. We look forward to seeing you at the festival from the 16th till the 24th of September. Please have a drink and chat to everyone who's presented today. Thank you.